West Coast Podcast. I'm Shane, and is with me as always is Trey.
Yes, sir, I am Trey, and thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the West Coast Podcast. Starting a little bit later, Shane, I don't know if you know this, but we're actually starting on time, which is pretty unusual, I feel like. So you must have got up and at 'em, so I'm proud of you. But anyways, we appreciate you guys for stopping by as we continue to bring you guys these podcasts every other week. Make sure to subscribe to Shane Guy 11 on YouTube. He has you covered with tips for both college football and Madden 25, as well as keeping you guys informed with new patch notes, any patch updates that gets released on both college football and Madden will be uploaded to Shane Guy 11. And yeah, he has you covered on that end. And as far as for me, make sure you check out my YouTube channel. My name is Trey is Raw. You can look me up on YouTube. Pretty easy to find. Doing a lot of interviews on there. I'm working on a major project video at the moment to where I put every single Madden cover athlete on one team, and I do a simulation and see which quarterback does the best in the simulation with the multiple quarterbacks that were featured, as well as running backs, receivers, and all of that. So pretty got that going on, and I'm excited to get that released within probably a few weeks is what I'm aiming for releasing that video. So be tuned into that. And also Shane got some pretty good streams going on. But enough with all that preamble BS out of the way. Shane, how have you been doing? Talk to me. How have you been living life recently?
Well, I'm still here, so that's the positive, right? It's been going pretty good. Just been basically trying to get going in the MCS tournament. Right now, if it ended, I'd be making single limbs. Knock on wood, definitely got to handle business this weekend. Take some shots of cocaine. Well, sniff cocaine, whatever. I'm joking. Obviously, I don't do cocaine because I said the wrong thing. So, get my Diet Coke ready, get my water, get my sparkling ice water. Get it going for the weekend, baby. What's going on, X fan? You got NCAA 25. That's what's up, bro. Hey, Trey, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to see your project. Please get it going, bro. Can't wait to see how it ends. Hopefully, it's a long one, man. Hopefully, you do a long video. That will be sick. Trey, how have you been, bro?
I'm doing pretty good, and I'm probably like 95% sure that you can't say certain words like you alluded to. Said you said the white stuff, but you referred to it as its actual name, and I'm not 100% sure if that's allowed. So if anyone on YouTube is listening to this, he was talking about the rapper Honey Cocaine. He was not talking about the illegal substance that is known as cocaine. He was actually referring to the female rapper Honey Cocaine. So I'd like to clear that up. God, I'm always covering for Shane on this podcast. Anyways, with all that being said, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty amped up for this idea. It's a big project, and those are kind of the videos that I like to do. Definitely gonna be looking to get more into streaming and doing some money games. Been playing a lot of regular reg games online. For those of you that aren't privy to Madden terminology, regs just means you go in, you pick a regular NFL team, and you go head to head. That is what regs is referred to as in the Madden lingo of things. So I've been doing a lot of that. I'm actually 19-2 so far. Should have been 19-1, but I got cheated. They added snow for literally no reason. We'll probably get into that, which yeah, that kind of got me upset. But other than that, I feel pretty good on this game so far. Won a national championship in college football, so thinking I'm looking pretty good online. So yeah, definitely excited to get back into Players Lounge. And speaking of regs, because Shane, I know that's your background, but how are you looking so far? Is that something that you're gonna be looking to get back into at some point? Is the regular teams in the Players Lounge / Gamer Saloon money games, or are you just kind of sticking to MUT so far?
So glad to see you're winning, bro. Like I said, Trey's become goated, you guys. Like if you want his autographs, they'll be up on eBay for about 50K each. Go buy them. One day they'll be worth a mill. You actually can say the white stuff, Trey, and be okay with it. You just can't put it in the title or you get demonetized. So we're a little bit safe, but yes, I was still talking about Honey Cocaine, the rapper. She's really good. Um, no, to get back on regs and talk about what your question was, I think I'm gonna wait until all the tournaments are done, Trey, and then I'm gonna get on Players Lounge and Gamer Saloon and see what is the most popular mode to do money games, and then I'm just gonna bet big money games and stream them, and you'll be able to see me rage, bro. So depending on if it's more popular regs mode in late winter, early spring, I will be doing that. If it's MUT, I will be doing that. You would have to let me know because I haven't been doing it for a couple years. So this year, is it more popular to do regs or MUT for money games on Players Lounge and Gamers Soon, Trey?
Yeah, I mean, you do have some ultimate, tournaments on Players Lounge. I know competitive players like Dubby do a lot, which, a lot of the competitive scene nowadays, they look down on regs. They think it's a bot move because they can't use their credit card to buy 98 overall teams, but you know how that is. But no, I'm thinking because I was doing game players lounge, I mean, I've been doing it. I mean, that's how you and I met. Maybe we can get into that whole backstory at some point during the podcast, but that's actually how you and I started talking, was through Gamer Saloon. And I took a little bit of a break off that. I got back into it, I would say, last year. Made some pretty decent coin off of it. And then, it kind of fell off, but I'm excited to get back into it. And obviously, with when once all the tournaments going and you're kind of doing, I guess, the springtime, you're doing regs, we can definitely get some reps in together, get some of the crew together, and we can just start ripping all these players lounge tournaments and getting some money. And I wanted to ask you that because that's something that I've been kind of considering, is meeting some people in regular teams and kind of forming a crew of sorts. But when you were doing Players Lounge and Gamer Saloon and stuff like that, were you even aware of the crews, and do you think that the crew settings would work in not like the MCS tournament of things, but say if you have like 4 or 5 guys and you're constantly doing these Players Lounge tournaments, do you think that that could be a solid thing to do in that regard?
That's a perfect question, Trey. So when I was deep into the money game world, I mean, you and I know how deep I was into the money games, and I did know about Cruise then because like I said back then, it was like Skimbo, uh, uh, Scheming, and Prime. They were a crew, and then there's a couple other crews on there, and they would lab together and do all that. And they did regs. It was mainly regs, and that's when they told me don't do MUT. When I didn't know they were being shady about it, but no, it was about regs. And Trey, honestly, it depends on Players Launch, Gamer Saloon. For regs crew, it's a little bit hit and miss because unless you got people who are for example, let's just say you and I, right? You and I are like, yo, if I win it all, I'll give you 33%. If you win it all, give me 33%, and we do that. That would work, but a lot of times, if you're in the same tournament, most people aren't gonna split the bread unless you make the championship, and then they just agree on it. I do know crew members who have played other non-crew members and made it to the championship, and they're both pros, and they just agree to take a 50-50 split. So they make $500 each, let's say, instead of one gets 900 and one gets 100. And I have been in tournaments with like UMC where I've had to play some of them in the past. So other than that, like yeah, I mean it just depends on the person, Trey. Like if you can trust them, if you'd want to do that. Like me, I'm always cool with breaking bread, bro. I'm always good with handing out money to my buddies and trying to help out here and there, especially if I can. So like if we entered a tournament, like yeah, I do 33%. Like that's how I did it at the slot machines with my buddies. We'd go out there and I'd be like, yo, well, it's only one other person, but I'd be like, yo, if I win good money, I'll give you 33%. If you win good, 33%. And we always were honest with each other, always true to each other. And that's how I would be on Madden. So to answer your question, regs, I mean, yeah, if you could trust your person or trust people to split if that's what you plan on doing, or even talk about plays, but like a lot of the people I know are like what you said, they're stuck on MUT, bro. And oh, I'm gonna go off a little bit here on this, Trey. So I got a good story for you because you said the whole credit card thing. So a week ago, I played this guy named like Skill Fidelphia or whatever. It's something like that. Skill Fidelphia, and he had like a grade A team, bro. Like I mean, grade A meat. That's how good his team was. He beat me by 7. He was celebrating whoop de whoop. Well, this last couple days, I was able to put 100 in, improve my safeties immensely, and I beat his face in 21-7 at half, and he quit. And that goes to show the whole like where pros are like having the best team doesn't matter. It's all about how good you are. And yes, like am I going to win a championship, Trey? 95, 99% chance, no, even if I have the best team. But could I possibly make a live event depending on the year? Yes. Don't let anybody tell you guys out there that having the best team doesn't matter or they wouldn't have it. X Fan said his night is top tier right now. He has his LED lights. He's reading a book. It's late. Life is good. That's what I'm talking about, X Fan. Congrats. Take every moment you can. But yeah, Trey, just to answer your question, I rambled on.
Yeah, no, you're good, and yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly when people say that. But remember, Shane, remember what the pros will tell you. The pros will tell you, well, if you wanna invest in Madden, you have to just not have a life at all. You have to sacrifice everything in your life. If you're serious about competing in Madden, you have to sacrifice it all in order to compete in Madden. So I don't know. Maybe we're just maybe everyone else is normal and just we're the crazy ones for just not believing in that whole BS. I don't know. Maybe Shane and I are the crazy ones in this scenario, but I just don't see it. Or maybe we're just not brainwashed. However, we'll let the chat decide on that one. Just let us know if we're tripping or not. But going back to the original topic, how often, or Shane, do you know of any instances where they'll have these crews compete in these tournaments and it's like they'll just like blatantly rig it? So like for example, if me and you were in a tournament, hypothetically, just so I don't get in trouble, this is all hypothetically, we get into a tournament, right? And we get to the finals, and we already have an agreement in place that if I win, I'll split the money. If you win, you'll split the money. So you get a fixed game essentially. So how often does that happen? And if it does happen, like is there a way that the sites or anything that they can is there anything they can do to say, hey, this game is rigged, they're obviously not putting an effort in? Or is it just like how could they prove that you're doing something wrong, I guess is what I'm asking. What?
So usually it's on the down low, Trey. And Usually it's in between the people, but like I only know because of obviously crew members, right, that make deep runs on Player Lounge or Gamer Saloon, and they'll play other top pros, and I'll be like, is this normal? Like, do other? And they're always like, yeah. Once you make the Final Four or the championship, and you can trust if you can trust the other person, they usually make deals, and then the site doesn't usually know. Except I have a funny story about Gamer Saloon about in Madden 16. About Madden 16, I do have a funny story on that, so I'll go back. But no, to Trey, answer your question, what's good, Rose? How are you? It is a lot more normal to make deals, especially with crew or with people they can trust. Like if I can't trust you, obviously we're not going to do the deal. But if I can trust you, it's a lot more common than you think. And another thing is it's usually real games, bro. Like they really try to beat each other for clout to be like, oh, first place is Trey, second place is Shane, right? So they're really trying to beat each other still, but they already agreed on splitting 50-50. And what happened on Gamer Saloon like about 8 years ago with one of the mods, Skimbo and another guy were playing, and basically it got leaked that they were going to do 50-50, and somebody ratted to the mod. It was not me. I did not do that. And the mod just came, basically was like in the chat, said, he came into the chat, which was very rare in those days, and said, hey, look, they're in the championship, so it doesn't affect anyone. It really doesn't affect anyone. Now, if in the future, if you are able to bet on it, you're not supposed to. But now they have like the 1v1 sites, Trey, where you can bet. I don't know if Player Lounge lets you side bet. It only creeps me out, though, is like, let's say you and I are playing, right? And you're 80-0 and I'm 0-80. So I have the odds of plus 1,000, right? And you and me make a deal where one of my buddies puts like 500 bucks on me. So you would win like whatever. I don't know. I'm just making up. We would win 50K, right? Let's just say. Well, then we rig it, and I split 25K with you, and I keep 25K because all the people that bet on you lost, and the one person who bet on me won. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that trips me out, Trey. To answer your question on that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It all makes sense. I didn't even know about the whole, side betting and the hustling and all that. So really, it's a hustle in itself, and that's another thing too, because you always hear, someone will say, "Oh, I'm an NFL player," so all the pros will play him, but then in reality, the pro player has like a pro player playing on his account. So there's all these, different kind of, shady schemes, which I'm sure you've probably seen it all over your course of, playing money games and just being involved with the competitive scene in general. So in saying that, I just kind of want to talk about like the repercussions, like so to speak. Is it more of a thing where they just kind of look the other way in a lot of areas, or are there times where they will instill discipline when they catch these sort of things happening? And if so, like realistically, what are some of like the trouble they could get into when they do stuff like that?
Like I honestly think a lot is they turn a blind eye. Like, I mean, they allow people to play on different accounts and then just be like, oh, they told us about it, right? Well, that makes me sketched out. Like, if I'm thinking I'm playing you, but I'm playing Henry, right? How do I know what's fair and what's not fair? And, like, the only thing that I could see about the punishment, the only punishment where I laughed about is the coin buying incident a few years ago where, like somebody like you or I bought coins, we got banned for good for the whole year. Dreeny got caught, got banned. Then he said he wouldn't show up on, I think it was Madden Monday or whatever it was. And they unbanned him and let him keep his coins and player cards and all of that. So I think there's a different relationship towards people compared to other people, especially if you're like top notch. You get, the look away. We didn't see anything, but like somebody like you or I, we get punished to the max. So other than that, I just think they kind of look the other way, Trey. If you want to know the truth.
Yeah, they look the other way, which I guess it makes sense. But is it like do you think that they turn the blind eye just because like at the end of the day it doesn't matter? Like, do you see a situation where if someone were to come along and they had like a master scheme and that they could make like some serious, I don't even know what that scheme could be per se, but I'm saying like if someone really wanted to, they could kind of figure out a way to just get a bunch of people together to compete in these tournaments and just rig the whole thing or whatever. Is that something that you kind of foresee happening, like to where it just gets egregious to a point to where they have to take action, and maybe it leads to even it goes beyond that, like even like criminal type of stuff, or do you think that it's just it's all fun and games or whatever at this point?
I mean, Rose said it smartly. Is EA is their own mini Vegas. Like, no, I think that they do things quietly. I think they hand out suspensions for certain people quietly. Like one person who is a top pro did something and got banned for, like, I believe, was it the year, Trey, or the tournament, and supposedly he wasn't going to do it because he wanted to play tennis, but he's never missed a tournament in his life, and we figured out he got like silent banned, where they wouldn't out him for what he did, but he couldn't play for, I can't remember if it was that Madden year or just that tournament. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. And then you got like Serious Mo, who got in trouble for sending the lineup over to his crewmate when he was broadcasting, and then he got hired by EA anyways to oversee the whole Madden game. So I mean, I think unless like you come out, like if it comes out like Voltrax, he didn't even get banned for those racist comments and all that. I really think they turn the eye unless like the only way that I think that they would ban you is like domestic abuse, a hate crime, or stealing money out of their pockets like criminally. Other than that, I think they will look the other way, or at worst, silent ban you for a tournament.
Yeah, no, that makes sense entirely. And I mean, it's just one of those things. So it's like, like when, yeah, I'm not gonna go into that. Anyway, so we're this far into the podcast, and something else that I'm going to be start doing at the podcast is going to be a little bit. We're going to have a poll question. We used to bring these back, but it's a poll question. But really, this is going to be like a clip that I try to get for the Shanghai 11 TikTok channel to try to get some more engagement going on. We got some people in the chat. We got Rose and X Fan. I don't know if X Fan is still in the chat, but they can chime in. So my question to the chat and also to Shane is, so far in this year, who do you think is the favorite to win the Heisman this year is going to be the poll question. Shane, who do you got? Who do you think is the favorite to win the Heisman this year so far from what you've seen?
Cam Ward is really killing it, but I think the Texas QB Ewers, I think that's how you say it, Ewers, and then the Tennessee QB. I might be messing up the Tennessee QB. They're up there. And then the wide receiver from San Jose State, he's number one in the whole nation. Be on the watch for him. That's a big bodied receiver, and just because he's from San Jose State, don't overlook him. That is who I'm looking at right now, Trey. Those four.
All right, well, there's a pretty big name you're kind of leaving off of the list there. And so, what do you think? What do you think about Travis Hunter as a whole? Do you think because like that's like Travis Hunter is like a unicorn at this point. We really haven't seen anyone play just offense and defense like at this state so far in college football. So, what do you think of Travis Hunter? Do you think he should be up for consideration on that?
I think Travis Hunter's a stud. Like I'm a little not over the top about Alabama's QB. I'm not like I don't think he didn't like I've watched two games out of the I believe he's played three or four now. I can't remember, but like I wasn't that like over like oh my gosh he's everything. Tomorrow will make a big deal for him on Georgia. I do believe Alabama beats Georgia. That's a top five matchup. That's prime time. Um, Travis Hunter is really, really good, bro. He's definitely the best player on Colorado. I'll say that. Flat out, he's the best player on Colorado. I just think he's outside looking in right now. Just my humble opinion. I could be wrong, Trey. Who do you have for the Heisman?
Yeah, so far from what I've seen, I'd probably put Cam Ward in there. I don't watch a ton of college football. I've just been watching a lot of Pat McAfee and shows like that. And really, those shows are how I kind of stay involved with college football because they talk about it all the time. So I'm kind of interested in that. But also playing college football, and you're talking about the Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, I believe his name is. And I don't know how good he is in real life, but I tell you what, that guy is definitely a problem to deal with in college football. I can tell you that. So yeah, so let us know in the comments, TikTok, YouTube, who do you have winning the Heisman this year? That's what we want to know. And Shane, it's been 2 weeks. The last time we talked, was our two teams, the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks, faced off. You ended up getting the win on that one, and even going to next week, I mean the Seahawks are 3-0. The San Francisco 49ers took an L to the Rams, even with the Rams losing key pieces to their offense. I mean, how excited are you about the Seahawks and just the NFC West turning out so far?
So here's where I'm at on it. Like I do everything, right? I do it on everything. You heard my statement about Lamar Jackson back in the day. You heard my statement about every new player. I never crown them too soon, and I never hate on them too soon. And with the Seahawks, it's super early. Like they've played like nothing against like your QB, but like I think they played like Skyler or whatever. Thompson for Miami, like he's not good. Who else do they beat? I'm drawing a blank. New England.
They
Help
beat
me.
Cincinnati. Cincinnati.
The Seahawks didn't play Cincy, did they?
Shit, I don't know.
Dude, I'm drawing a
I don't know who
blank.
you guys played week one. To be honest,
Yeah, it was my. Hold on, I'll look at it, bro. Hold on. Because I'm drawing a blank. Like my point is the three teams that they played were nothing special. Okay, I guess that's what I'll say. So I'm not going to crown the Seahawks anything special. I am interested in seeing how they do. Oh, they played the Broncos. Yeah, nothing good, not good. So I am interested to see how they do versus Detroit, but at the same time, 3-0 is 3-0. You can't apologize for who you play, right? So yeah, I am happy for it right now. Rose said she can't say much about the Heisman this year. Milrow, college football is Quinchon Judkins, Omega, the San Jose dude, wide receiver, like I mentioned, and the Iowa Hawkeyes running back has 600 yards and 9 tutties. So, I mean, that's a good list by Rose. But yeah, to answer to you right now, Trey, I actually think Arizona has played the best out of the other NFC West teams. Like honestly, I think the 49ers are going to be on the struggle bus without McCaffrey. How do you look for your division with the Patriots?
Yeah, so we actually play San Francisco, which I am not looking forward to that. Full disclosure. 49ers are coming off of a upset win that they, even with the injuries, I know that they're banged up, but that's a game that they should have won. And San Francisco is just a horrible matchup against New England, no matter how you look at it. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be another shellacking by the 49ers. And we appreciate you guys for helping us out with the Dolphins. Not sure if we can return the favor for San Fran, but you still got a solid lead there in the meantime on that. But Josh Allen is looking like he's the front runner for MVP so far, which I wasn't seeing. I mean, addition by subtraction is a real thing. I think with the whole Stephon Diggs situation, I think you get Stephon Diggs out of there, and Josh Allen is looking primed to have another MVP candidate so far. I mean, Miami, and I've always said this. I mean, I know for a fact I've said it on the podcast before, but I am higher on Tua than I think most people are. I've always thought because, like, ever since he got into the league, we haven't beat him. We usually get Buffalo at least once a year, but Tua, we haven't got in there. I just feel like Tua, whenever I got a chance to see him play, he just seems so comfortable back there, just, sit back, throwing dots and stuff like that. So that's a huge loss, and not to mention about the whole Tyreek Hill debacle and all that that's going on. And then you have the Jets, and I do think, bold prediction, I think we're going to not finish last in the division this year. We'll probably beat out Miami, but it's going to be interesting to see with the Jets and Buffalo how that turns out. I'm still not completely sold on Josh Allen so far, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But another quarterback that the Buffalo Bills played is Trevor Lawrence, Shane. So, how do you feel about Trevor Lawrence? This is kind of off topic, but you look at Trevor Lawrence. He was a blue chip talent. He was considered to be a generational talent. Do you think, because obviously you had the Urban Meyer debacle go on there, so do you think that Trevor Lawrence is cooked, or do you think he kind of redeems because Jacksonville is struggling right now?
You know, he's still young for one. So I'm not gonna give up on a dude that young just because I know Richard Sherman was like dumping on him, and I know that's like his guy that he likes to dump on. Um, he's young still. We'll see how it goes. I would give him some time, obviously, and like Rose says, Tua needs to be done because he's too high of a risk. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I think we had this discussion last time on the podcast. I think Tua needs to be worried about his own health, right? And then the Josh Allen plays the Ravens. I do think Baltimore's going to beat Buffalo, though, especially in Baltimore. Josh Allen's always a wild card. Like, he can throw for 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, or he could, cough up the ball a lot. But no, to answer your question, Trey, like, I do think that Lawrence is struggling, and I think it might be in his head, which is always tough. I'm up in the air about how he does this week, bro. Like, what do you feel? Do you feel like he's gonna show out, or do you think he's gonna stay on the struggle bus?
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see how it happens. I'll have to look at the weapons because you take into consideration. I mean, you have Calvin Ridley and that whole thing, and I'd have to see what kind of weapons, but where I'm at with like the whole, because obviously a quarterback can't do it himself. Okay, I realize that, but at the same time, I think we kind of overhype. Oh, they need this O line to play good. They need receivers to play good. But it's like, if you have a guy that's considered to be a generational talent, why does he need all these pieces to fit him in order to be good? So that, I just think they're making excuses for him. But Again, I'll have to watch him play, but Jacksonville. It's gonna be interesting though, Shane. Do you see a situation where maybe Doug Peterson gets fired, and do you think it could be a good landing spot for perhaps Bill Belichick next year? Do you give any credence to that idea?
That's a real good question. I do think that Belichick would help, like a Lawrence, but honestly, bro, I think Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick are done, bro. I think people are just gonna move past them. Unfortunately, like ageism is a little bit real, right? Like if they're in their mid 50s, they would have been snatched up in the off season for sure. Rose said she watched a funny fantasy football video this week, and the guy got Colts Steelers this week, and he said only thing worse than AR's medium accuracy is the Colts defense. They can't stop anything. Yeah, the Steelers defense is crazy good. Like Justin Fields really hasn't had to do too much. Like it's been about the defense. Like that defense is really really good. But yeah, Trey, I don't know, man. Like I'd give it time. Like I think people fire and hire people too quick. I think they give up on people too quick. I think they crown people too quick. Even Tom Brady. I don't know if you heard that video. Tom Brady was talking about putting new QBs to start year one are ruining QBs more than not. It was something like that. He said something like that. I'm paraphrasing, and then like people were like, "Yeah, I remember back in the day where he'd give you like 3 years to learn the game and then take over." So for that, like, do you kind of agree with the Tom Brady take about like they're hurting the QB play by forcing them in, or do you think it's like it's just what it is?
Shane, great minds think alike. I was going to ask you that same question. So we have incredible chemistry together. So I feel like we're on a similar wavelength here. But no, so the whole Drake May situation. You see Jaden Daniels go out there. He's been doing pretty good. Caleb Williams has been doing okay. Bo Nix kind of not really, and Caleb Jaden. I think Caleb Jaden and Bo Nix are they the only rookie quarterbacks so far that have played? I think.
Yeah, I think so, Trey. And like Rose said, look at guys like Pat Mahomes, Alex Smith, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, and then CJ Stroud's the only unicorn rookie to get a dream scenario. And you could even go back to Russell Wilson, right? But you're picking and choosing on like I'm picking and choosing, right? Because like Mahomes waited behind Alex Smith, like you said, Love behind Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre. I mean, so the list goes on. So I think Tom Brady, obviously one of the goats of the game, probably the goat QB. He's even saying like people are being thrown in a little too quick. So it's an interesting vibe right now. Like Bo Nix looks lost right now. Caleb Williams. Oh, Caleb Williams, the other one. Did you say him, Trey?
Yeah, I say Caleb Williams. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, he's not done anything special either, bro. Like nobody's really shown out to me, right? So maybe there is some like maybe let the QB ride the bench and get used to the game, right?
Yeah, so my whole thing on that is, especially with like our situation in particular with like the offensive line just being a mess, like you watch the game against the Jets, it is completely unacceptable in the NFL to have rushers just come up the A gap and the B gap. That is something that just is unacceptable. I've seen it happen way too many times. And it is, when you do that, the quarterback has no chance when you have rushers just coming through up the A gap and the B gap. And I feel bad for Mr. Brissett on that one. My whole thing when it comes back, I can understand the argument if you think that the offensive line isn't where it's just like a safety hazard, so to speak, to where like injury concern. my whole thing when it comes to the whole you're worried about his confidence being shaken, and I push back on that argument wholeheartedly. If the confidence is in question, why are we drafting him at number 3? Like, if we're worried that his confidence is going to be shaken, he's going to be affected mentally by competition, why are we drafting him at 3? Why are we paying him all this money? We expect him to be the face of the franchise, to carry the team to the promised land, but at the same time, we're worried that that mentally he's going to be shaken. And this was kind of my whole decision on Mac Jones about how, the media will always throw shade at Mac Jones and say he wasn't good, he was a bum, this and that. But when Drake May gets a pass for being mentally weak, they say, oh well, he has a star. That's why he's given the VIP treatment because he's a star. And I'm just thinking, okay, well, keep the same energy in 4 to 5 years if he craps the bed. Because he has star energy, he should be given a pass, but we'll constantly throw shade at Mac Jones because he wasn't good. So that's where I'm at, Shane. And by the way, Mac Jones actually made the playoffs as a rookie with Bill Belichick. But Bill Belichick just didn't do anything after Tom Brady, am I right? But now, what is your whole opinion on that quarterback situation, Shane?
So Rose says Patriots got away from their dominant run versus the Jets. Sure, Quinn Williams was a big reason for that, but the Jets he got torched by Jordan Mason a couple weeks ago. You're gonna say Mason's a better halfback than Stevenson? Pat's got in trouble when Brissett had to drop back 30 times a game. So that's her take on the Patriots. For the whole confidence thing, Trey, I know where you're getting at. If you're a smart organization, right? I'm going to go back to the Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks scenario, right? They paid Matt Flynn a buttload of money to be the starting QB. They drafted, I believe, Russell Wilson fifth round, and he outplayed Flynn, became the starting QB, right? They made him do basic plays, basic read options, right? And relied on the defense. That way, he was built around a very, very good team, right? Somebody like, I don't know, who would be a QB? Bo Nix. Let's just say Bo Nix. If you have to rely on Bo Nix, I think I think he threw against the Seahawks like 40 times. Like that, it can get to your confidence, especially at a young age. Like that's why they say that you're supposed to build around your superstar because confidence can be shaken. And I definitely understand what you mean, Trey. Like I'm paying you this buttload of money, you need to step up to the plate. But at the same time, like for me, at my age, they're still young kids, right? They're still learning the game, and like here, I'll break it down to you in this way, Trey. This is where I'm at on the whole scenario, right? So let's see. Jaden Daniels was one of the best players in college. He could outrun everybody. He could do this. He could do that, right? Well, in the NFL, everyone is fast. Everyone can catch. A lot of people can catch him, right? There's just not a weak link. Like in college football, if you're faster than everyone, you're gonna usually burn everyone because there's not as many. But you take the best players from college football and you put them on the NFL, and now the worst college foot or the worst NFL players were still one of the best college football players. So I think that's where the confidence issue arises, Trey, because like now they're not the best of the best, right? Now they're just a small fish in a big pond. That's why somebody like Russell Wilson was actually very, very fun to watch because yes, he struggled at times, but he didn't let his confidence get hit. So it'll be interesting with the new class to see who makes it out and who doesn't make it out.
Yeah, I mean, I just think with the whole Russell Wilson thing, it's a little bit different because he was a fifth round pick. So, he had that chip on his shoulder being the fifth round pick, which means he had essentially zero expectations going in. Whereas, you take someone with Drake May, which I understand, the higher draft pick, you have high expectations, and I get that side of it. I guess I'm just more saying like, you know, you have like you people are scared of competition. So like for New England, for example, we drafted Drake May, and then in the sixth round we drafted Joe Milton, and then people were saying, oh well, we shouldn't have drafted Joe Milton because now Drake May is gonna get upset and his confidence is gonna go down, and that's more along the lines of what I'm talking about. Like, if you're drafting a number three, you shouldn't be scared of competition. Like being able to compete against a quarterback, no matter what, that shouldn't phase your confidence at all. And I guess like I don't really mind the whole sitting. I just think we kind of coddle quarterbacks a little bit too much. Not saying we should throw them out to the wolves, but I do think there's a little bit of cuddling going on with quarterbacks when we're giving you this money, we're drafting you with the intent that you're going to be the face of our organization. Get it done. If you can't get it done, move to the side. We'll go a different direction, draft the left tackle, which is something we don't have to worry about. Obviously, when you draft other positions, they can be busts as well, but it's not going to necessarily affect the organization. Where if you just every year you're going through quarterbacks, they don't turn out well, and then you move on to the next thing, a la Cleveland Browns and New York Jets. So, talking about quarterback play, what do you think about the whole narrative going around that quarterback play is essentially going down? What is your whole take on that? Do you think that the quarterbacks these days are kind of mid, as the kids say? Or do you think there's other contributing factors going in on that? I want to get your take on that, Shane.
So I'm gonna answer like a couple questions. The first one, going back under take about the confidence. Some QBs, some players have an issue when there's other big dogs around, right? Like when they're the big man on campus, everything's flying smooth. When there's all a bunch of other alpha wolves, and I hate using the word alpha, but it's the easiest way to get to what I'm talking about. But there's other alpha wolves out there. They struggle, right? Because then they're getting checked compared to like when they were that big man on campus. All the girls loved them. All the dudes wanted to hang out with them. So that could be a part of it, or maybe they just got away with it with like a lot. I believe there was a while where Alabama and Georgia couldn't produce QBs, even though they're winning championships because they basically had NFL linemen, and it made their QB and run game look way better than it really was. So that was always interesting. Like certain teams had an NFL O line, and I'm behind it, and I got all day. I'm going to look really good, right? So that's something. Trey, I'm not. I don't think the quarterback play is worse. I actually think that maybe they're allowing the defense to do a little bit more than even I realized. And I've noticed the passing yards are down, points per game is down. Um, and it's been on a 2-year slide, right? So I am interested, like, are they allowing the defense to get away with more? Because people were, like we talked about, sick of high scoring offenses. So maybe they're allowing the defenses to get away with a little bit more, and I just didn't pay attention till right now. And when we did that clip on TikTok, everybody go check out Shane Got You 11 on TikTok. We do podcast stuff on there. The guy said, "Well, the defense has been keeping the offense down a little bit more," and I went, and he was absolutely correct. It was 2 years. It wasn't like 4 years, like he said, but it was like 2 years where it was a noticeable slide. Um, so like I said, Trey, maybe they're allowing the defenses to do a little bit more hand checking, maybe something else. Also, Rose wanted me to ask you what you thought of her take about the Patriots. Like, do you think that they got away from the run game and made Brissett throw the ball too much?
Yeah, so to answer Rose's question, so there was a press conference that was held by Alex Van Pelt. Alex Van Pelt is the new offensive coordinator that was appointed to Gerard Mayo, and the Patriots they had like a ridiculously low amount of carries in the Jets game, way less than Seattle, way less than Cincinnati, and Alex Van Pelt got on that press conference and his whole thing was essentially was that they earned the right to pass the ball essentially, and he had his plan on, hey, we're going to do play action, we're going to try to catch him off guard, and he owned up to it. I did not care for the explanation too much, even though I kind of understand what he was getting at. But I thought the same thing as you did, Rose, at the end of the game. I even had to look up the carries because I was just in awe that we kind of got away from what our identity was on offense. We're a run first team. Try to establish the run, the whole play action, aka the Shane got you 11 offense. But we did not establish the run. Ramondre only had about 6 or 7 carries, and probably the best player offensively aside from Demario Douglas, aka Pop Douglas, and Hunter Henry. So yeah, that to answer Rose's question, that's why, because Alex Van Pelt felt like they should have opened up the offense because they've been running the ball so well that they should open up. And I felt like with the injuries that the New York Jets were suffering, you had Jermaine Johnson out, and you could have probably got some runs going to the perimeter with Ramondre Stevenson. I felt like they should not have abandoned the run game. Do I think it would have affected the score? Probably not, but would it have made it a little bit more respectful? Yeah, it probably would. So that's to answer Rose's question. On that one, shout out to Rose and X-Fan for always being in here on that one. But so Shane, do you even remember when I was going on that whole tangent? That whole, oh yeah, quarterback play. That's right. That's what we're talking about. And I was going to ask you, did you hear about any of the viral clips? I don't know if I would say viral, but people like Mel Kiper came out and said defenses are playing cover two, and that's why quarterback plays down, like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady never saw cover two. And Mel Kiper said something to the effect of that defense's safety should be more into the box to help open up the offense. Did you hear any of that, or not really? Did you?
Yeah, I did, right? They were taking away the deep ball, correct? Is that correct? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, so like people like Pete Carroll. I don't want to speak on like Belichick. Maybe you can on that. He had the whole thing like with Russ pound the ball right, and then when they sucked in, you took the deep shot. So he knew what he was doing. So like I do think that they're taking away cover two. Like I think that Patrick Mahomes struggles against cover two as well, and that's what New England did to him in the Super Bowl. Is that correct, Trey? I'm pretty sure.
You mean you mean the Super Bowl against Mahomes again?
Didn't New England play KC? I'm pretty sure New England beat KC, right? Oh fudge! I'm dumb as hell. I'm at the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I
My
was so
bad, my bad, my
confused.
bad.
Not
You're nice, bro. You're like,
I'm I'm pretty sure that game, because I remember it. It was pretty high scoring, but if I remember correctly, we couldn't stop Mahomes for anything. And you know me, no one defends Belichick more than me, but I'm pretty sure in that game it went into overtime, and it was one of those situations where we got the coin toss and Chris Jones lined up offsides, and we ended up winning in overtime. But honestly, Shane, I don't think we stopped Mahomes a lick
you
in
know
that
what?
game.
It wasn't New England. It was the Super Bowl. It wasn't Belichick then. What was it? What was the Super Bowl? Rose, help me out here. Like I just literally killed my confidence.
I think it was the Buccaneers you're referring to when Tom Brady was playing them in the Super Bowl. Right,
Thank you,
right.
Trey. They did cover two on him. See, I knew it was Brady, and then I said New England when obviously they're in the same conference, right? New England and KC. So I screwed up on that. I totally meant they ran cover two against Mahomes, I believe, the whole game when it was Tampa Bay and KC. And didn't he have bad numbers, Trey? Wasn't it like a touchdown and two picks or something?
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, Tampa Bay completely locked down Mahomes in that game. Tom Brady didn't really have to do much, to be honest.
Okay, so that's what I meant. I didn't mean KC in New England then. That's my fault. I apologize to you guys. I strictly meant I was having Brady in my head and I always just have him in as a Patriots uniform. But yeah, I meant Tampa Bay and KC. They ran cover two and he was completely befuddled.
Yeah, no doubt. So it'll be interesting to see. I do think quarterbacks will get a. What do you think, Shane? What do you think of like the resurgence, if you will, of kind of the bridge quarterbacks? You have Sam Darnold looking pretty good for the Vikings. He's doing pretty good. Obviously, Geno Smith has been doing good. It looked like his career was kind of headed towards, and then he kind of resurged. And the Red Rocket himself, Andy Dalton, had a good game against the Raiders. Kind of what do you think that it's a fluke, or do you think that there's something there with these quarterbacks that they could reemerge in the future?
Sometimes I think it's situations, right? Because see, even the Sam Darnolds were really good in college, right, Trey? Even like guys like Geno Smith killed it. Geno Smith is better than some people think. He's not as good as some people think. He's decent enough in my opinion. But if you're in the right team, the right play calling, I think you definitely can look better than people thought you were. Like Sam Darnold definitely is playing really well. Will it last all year? Who knows? It's only been 3 games in. But do I think certain teams, certain styles help QBs? For sure. Like, for example, not to like go on about Colin Kaepernick, but I mean, once people realized how to stop the read option against him, and he would pick one person, he didn't have as good as numbers, right? He kind of fell apart. I would have been interested to see if Robert Griffin did the same thing. Tim Tebow, like he worked for a little bit for like the fourth quarter magic, but I mean, they figured him out too, right? I just feel like certain people get figured out, and some people are worse than people thought at the start. Some people are better than people think. Rose said Sam Darnold's been killing it is what people thought were good defenses. They forget their week one win, the 49ers and Texans. But, I mean, yeah, that can be true definitely too, Rose. But, like, who knows? It's still early. Like, everything is so early. Like, it the Seahawks might end up 7-10. But yeah, like Rose says, Darnold got to learn different experiences as a backup. Yeah. So I don't know. Like Trey, I don't know. Like I just think that it fits certain players, right? And some will do better. I think Darnold might do good all year. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, no doubt. It'll be interesting to see the kind of the reemergence. I just think everything kind of comes full circle at the end of the day in the NFL. We're seeing people run the ball and like going back to was Harbaugh was the coach when Kaepernick and them that when they went to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So do you think that Kaepernick's success was because of Harbaugh because you see him with he's the same Harbaugh that's with Baltimore, right, with Lamar.
Correct. No, that's his brother. That's his brother.
Right.
John Harbaugh is Baltimore coach. Jim Harbaugh was 49ers
49ers
coach,
coach,
and then went to
and then went
Michigan,
to
and now he's
Michigan, and
back in
now
the
he's back in
NFL.
the NFL.
Gotcha. So do you think because San Fran had a pretty good defense that year with like Patrick Willis and them, so do you think that it was mostly because of the defense, or do you think it was kind of the whole overall thing with San Fran that year when they went to the Super Bowl?
You know, I'm not gonna crap on Kaepernick. Like, he was tremendously athletic. He could throw a ball like super fast and hard, and he was accurate to like he'd be accurate sometimes. But I'm not gonna take it away from him. The read option was special, right? Kind of like you remember the Wildcat. The Wildcat was super special as well. But like Kaepernick, RG3, Russell Wilson, the first couple years is all about the read option, right? And only one survived it. Now, obviously, unfortunately for RG3, he was hurt. He tore his knee, I believe, but like I don't know how he would have turned out either. Like, I mean, Russell Wilson had issues throwing to the short accuracy, and that's his height, right? He's small. So he had his deficiencies, but he was definitely a better thrower than, in my opinion, than RG3 and Kaepernick. And Kaepernick had a good run. Like, regardless of what people want to say, he had a good run for a few years. He got figured out enough, and then, you know, then the whole debacle went down that, like, it became political and all that stuff. But for me, it was yeah, San Fran relied on the defense, kind of like Seattle to a degree, right? They were both very good elite defenses. Rose said Big Brother Jim, and Jim is saying things like if worms had machine guns and birds would be more scared of them. Michigan press conference. That's hilarious. Yeah, they're built basically. I feel like John Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh they kind of build the same team, right? Tough defense, tough run game, athletic QB, right? I mean, Lamar Jackson, Colin Kaepernick. I believe Lamar has better passing numbers, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to be like 100% sure. But like even him, right? Even Lamar Jackson, they basically said he can't throw to the sidelines. That's how the Tennessee Titans beat him, right? They contained him, they took away the middle, and they forced him to throw to the sidelines, and he had the issues. He threw a couple picks, I believe, in the playoff games.
Yeah, no doubt. So like when it comes to Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, would you say that they're kind of dual threat ish to where they can run, but they can also pass the ball efficiently? Whereas Lamar Jackson, yeah, he can throw pretty good, but he's more known as like a runner. And do you believe that there's kind of a wall to where there hasn't really been like a per se mobile quarterback that's only relied on runs that has won a Super Bowl? And do you think that that's something that could change per se?
You know, I would have to go all the way back, bro, to see if there's been a running QB that's won a Super Bowl. Again, like if somebody fact checked me, like okay, my thing is I feel like most teams are too smart, right? Most teams are too smart. They'll figure it out. Like they take away your deficiencies. Like I am really interested to see how Lamar does when his speed and athleticism goes down. Will he adapt and become a solid passer and run once in a while? I mean, we'll wait and see. But Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes are yeah, they're dual threats, right? Russell Wilson he's older, he's banged up, who knows if he's going to play. But we're talking about prime Russ and prime Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, they were about as like dual threat as you can say, like a Randall Cunningham, right? But I don't know if a running QB will ever win it. I could technically see it. I mean, if you build a great enough defense around it and a run game, I could see a running QB winning it all, Trey.
Yeah, no doubt. Same here. So we're getting pretty close to October, Shane, and you know me, I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I know baseball is your first love, so I kind of want to get your take on kind of what you expect to see in this postseason, obviously, and I also want to get your opinion on Otani. Kind of, because that guy's been insane. I think he broke a record. He had like 50 stolen bases, and I believe 50 home runs in the same season he hits and then he pitches even. So, do you think that Otani is probably the best player that you have seen, like, not even like in the last few years, but kind of just of all time? And kind of are you excited for postseason in baseball this year? Or
Trey, Seattle Mariners got eliminated from the playoff race. Like, hella disappointing because they were up 10 games. Like, it definitely killed me, man. I'm not going to lie. October baseball is fun. It just kills me that my first love and my favorite team of all time, they can never make the playoffs consistently. They rarely make the playoffs. I'm going to be honest. I think it's 5 times in 45 plus years. But yeah, Houston's always going to be a tough out. Like, so watch for them. Detroit is kind of like the Seattle Mariners a couple years ago, had that magical run. So that'll be interesting to watch. To go on a Tawny, yeah, if he continues this for a few more years straight, he's probably going to be the best ever player. Hands down, best ever player if he continues doing what he's doing for the next few years. I mean, I think he has 54 home runs right now and 58 stolen bases. He hasn't pitched this year because he tore his rotator cuff, I believe. But yeah, just a two-way talent, a freak of nature. I am really interested to see if he is Mr. October, which is playoff time. He's never been in the playoffs. It'll be his first playoffs in like I think the 7-8 years he's been in the league. I'm really interested to see if he'll step up and be a superstar in October, or will he have the whole he choked. So I'm interested, man, on that. Like Tawny in the playoffs, I want to see if he is Mr. October or he chokes like some people want him to.
yeah, no doubt, it's definitely going to be interested. And so like when it comes to baseball, right? Obviously, there's a lot more games in baseball that takes place, and basketball is the same way. You have all these games that are set up, whereas the NFL, there's a game every week. There's a lot of games, but there's only 18 weeks, whereas baseball, it's a lot longer. So, how difficult is it as a fan to kind of in a sense follow all the action? How invested are you? Like, do you see yourself watching every single game, or is it just kind of like you check in every so often, or kind of like how do you kind of go about following the team and supporting that sort of thing?
Bro, I'm wild. Like I'm a diehard. Like I won't be like those weird diehards who send threatening letters like what happened to one of our players who was awful this year, just awful, right? And some fans were writing him and his family death threats like you're a loser, bro. Like you're a loser. Like doing that's loser stuff, okay? I'm gonna let that out of the bag right now. That's loser talk and loser mentality, and you probably wouldn't say it to his face, right? But no, I'm a diehard Trey. Like I know some fans don't pay attention until like June or July because June or July it's the midway point of the year. So there's like 81 games left, 81 to 90 games left. Nah, man, I'm either watching every game or I'm listening to it on the radio. I don't miss games. I just don't. So 162 games from usually March 31st to September 29th. That's me. Like I'm there. Like when they got eliminated, bro, from the playoff race, it was like somebody punched me in my chest, punched me in my stomach. Yeah, I was just gutted. Like I mean, I was gutted. Like I said, it's my first love, my favorite team. I spend 6 months. I either am watching all 162 games or listening to it on the radio. So I'm there fully.
Yes, sir. Shane is definitely ride or die with his team. Doesn't matter what it is, Seahawks, Mariners, and all that. But and also, I did see something that I guess the Kraken, that's the hockey team that's playing. Like, what's the whole deal with that? Because was it like an exhibition kind of deal, or was it? Because I'm pretty sure it didn't hockey end, or like what's the deal with that? Or am I tripping?
So for the Kraken, for the Seattle Kraken, it was the first preseason game. They're just starting back up. So the NHL season is upon us. I'm not really a fan of like the NHL. I'm a big fan of the WHL for like the Spokane Chiefs. We go there. Like my family's going tomorrow night. I'm not going because I have the tournament, but the Chiefs I really really enjoy. But like the NHL, like it's cool. Like there's a lot of good players and like talented players. Obviously, I just don't like yeah. When the Seattle Kraken made the playoffs, I watched them and rooted for them, right? But like it's not the same for me. Like I put the Mariners at 1, the Seahawks Gonzaga at 2, evenly split, and then the Spokane Chiefs at number 3, and then like whatever else like I'm doing right then. But like no, like the NHL is whatever to me.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question. So, Super Bowl, when you guys took out Peyton Manning with that defense and you annihilated Peyton Manning and won the first Super Bowl. I think that was your first Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure in
Correct.
franchise history. I know. Yeah, because I know you made it to the Steelers like in like '06 or whatever. But yeah, that was your first one. But so where does like I guess like where does that rank for you in terms of greatest moments? Like it when you combine Seahawks, Gonzaga, and all that. Like if you were to rank like your greatest moments as a fan for all your teams, how would you rank them? Like give me a top five if you could off the top of your head. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are you are putting me on the spot, bro. Um, Probably the Seahawks number 1, right? Because they won it all, right? I still love like the Seahawks a lot, so it's not like watch every game. I get pissed off if they lose. I get excited if they win. I mean, again, just like every sport I watch, if it's early, I don't get too over the top or too down, right? It's more like I like, for example, Trey, like on baseball, I do the same thing until about late May, early June. Then I start to be like, okay, they got to start winning. And then like towards September, I start to get real pissy, like if they're losing. Like definitely better than I was, but I get pissy. But so probably Seahawks number 1. I would say Gonzaga making their first NCAA championship against North Carolina is number 2. Number 3 is the Mariners' 1995 season for me. Favorite player of all time was on that roster, Edgar Martinez, best DH of all time, hands down. Number 4, number 4 was probably when Seattle Mariners made the playoffs just a couple years ago. That was really, really exciting. And then you know what? I'm gonna go number 5. The Spokane Chiefs winning the Memorial Cup.
All right, that was a pretty solid top five for being on the spot for sure. So kind of going back to the whole baseball. I am curious because something that I've been kind of getting into recently. So were you was when Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson, they did they played football and baseball and all that. Is that something that you were around for? Was that a little bit before your time? And if you kind of remember it, what were some of your thoughts on that? And also, is that something that you can kind of see maybe see it happening again to where someone could play professional football and baseball, or do you think it'd be kind of too hard now to?
That was fantastic, Trey. Bro, I love your questions. So I was a little young, right? I was a little young. I do remember them. I thought it was really, really cool, right? And I was little. I think I was like 6, 7, and 8 around that time. And I thought it was really cool, right? Like I didn't like I just watched him and thought like, wow, this guy plays in two, major league sports. Like I didn't think about like, oh, major league sports. So I shouldn't say that. I was like, oh, he plays in the NFL and MLB and he's good. Like I mean, that was really, really cool. But to answer your question now, Trey, is like, no, I don't think we'll ever see another two league star ever. Maybe when we're dead and gone, but like for the next 40, 50 years, no, I really don't think so, Trey. I've noticed that, and I've read that more kids focus on one sport more than any time before. Like when I was growing up, bro, I played soccer, basketball, football, baseball, right? My brother played hockey, basketball, baseball, football, soccer. So we did all these different sports, and like even like my son's age, which he's 18, the oldest one. They did different sports. They did football. He did football. He did basketball. But it was starting to slow down, and like now a lot of these kids like they play basketball and they do AAU 5 nights a week, right? They're traveling, or they do baseball. Like I believe it was a doctor, a surgeon, who said he has seen more Tommy John surgeries in baseball, which is pitching your elbow, than ever before. And he said it's because he believes kids are throwing more curveball, breaking balls, and doing it over and over than ever before. So, like, instead of, like, the kid playing baseball, and then the next day he's playing soccer, and then the next day he's playing basketball, and then the next day after that he's back to baseball, where he's still playing it a couple times a week. They're doing it 5, 6, 7 times a week, depending on the parent, depending on the kid. Uh, so they tear a ligament in their elbow easier, and the surgeon had that interesting thing that he believes that kids need to play different sports so they don't injure themselves easier. So I just think, yeah, I think we won't see a two-way sport player for a while.
Yeah, no doubt, and also like I think it just takes like a special athlete, and in terms like I mean, you talk about top 1% goes to the NFL. It's probably even like a more higher up class for that. But when you talk about pitchers, and this is something else I've been kind of curious about. How often is it when like because pitchers will have I guess like their top 3 or 4 pitches. How often is it like do they kind of just stick with like their core that they've been going on for a while? Does it ever get to the point of the pros where they kind of test out different pitches and stuff like that, or or does it just kind of vary on that?
It is funny though, Trey. Like I believe, like every like pitchers throw definitely harder than they did in the '90s, but not as much as people would imagine. I believe the average speed in the 1990s was like 91.9 miles per hour, I believe, so close to 92, and now it's at like 94. So there's only 2 mile per hour difference, but there's way more pitchers who throw 97 to 100 than in the 90s, because in the 90s you had like a couple pitchers and then Randy Johnson, and he was like one of the flamethrowers throwing 100 miles an hour, which he'd still be fine nowadays. So I do think there's more pitchers that throw harder, but there's still pitchers that throw way less, like 91, 92, and that's why the average is about 94. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example for the Seattle Mariners. So their pitcher was Bryce Miller and Brian Wu just recently. Those are two pitchers. They're super young. Last year, basically, they threw fastball after fastball after fastball. During the off season, they worked on other pitches because they both were getting beat up by left-handed hitters. Well, they worked on a cutter, they worked on I think on a slider, on a curveball. Now Bryce Miller has 7 pitches, which is abnormal. That is a lot. Usually, like you said, they're using 3 to 4 pitches, right? Um, like Felix Hernandez, who was the Seattle Mariners he should be in the Hall of Fame. He had a fastball, he had a changeup, and he had a slider, and they're just dominating, right? And even now, there's pitchers like closing pitchers can get away with it usually because they can just empty the tank. Like there's a guy out in Oakland. So sad for Oakland fans how their team's just leaving the city. But Mason Miller, he throws 100 to 103 miles an hour for a fastball, and then he'll throw like a slider, and that's it. So he has 2 pitches. So like Trey, basically, if you have a pitch that you can throw and it's so dominating, you only need 2 or 3 pitches, right? But if you are a pitcher who doesn't have any like super dominating things, but you're good, usually it's about 4 pitches. So like Bryce Miller, who has 7 pitches now, that is out of this realm. But there are pitchers that have 2 to 3 pitches, but they have such dominating stuff they don't need any more.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is interesting. What's your opinion on the knuckleball pitch? Do you think that it works, or is it just kind of a gimmicky kind of it doesn't really work that much kind of pitch? Okay.
You know, a guy like Tim Wakefield and Phil Necro, like they threw such a nasty knuckleball, right? They threw such a beautiful knuckleball that it did cause issues. Like you could call it gimmicky, right? Because you'd assume major league hitters would be killing a 68 to 78 mile per hour knuckleball. But you got to remember, these guys are gearing up for 94 to 98 miles an hour. And yes, even if I'm like, he's going to throw me the knuckleball 60% of the time, I believe Tim Wakefield still threw an 84 mile per hour fastball or 85 mile per hour fastball. So a 68 mile per hour knuckleball, that's still a 17 mile per hour difference, Trey. So your timing's a little bit off. It's floating differently. Its trajectory is coming out differently. So I believe that if you have a dominating pitch, I don't care what it is, slider, changeup, cutter, knuckleball, fastball, two seam, four seam, right? Splitter. If you have such a dominating pitch, you can use anything really. Like Mariano Rivera, considered one of the greatest closer of all time. I believe he had a fastball and a cutter, and he would just break bats, jam hitters, and so I mean, yes, well, he was a closer, right? Okay, fine. Randy Johnson, he basically threw 2 pitches, a fastball and Uncle Snappy, his slider. But you're throwing 100 miles an hour, dominating pitch, like if what I was saying to you, A plus plus stuff, and then he has an A rated, slider, so 87 miles an hour. I mean, that's a 13 mile per hour difference. The trajectory from a 6'11 pitcher. So I think anything could be used, right, Trey? Like, yeah, was Tim Wakefield or Randy Johnson? Hell no. And rest in peace to Tim Wakefield. But no. I mean, no. But he was still good enough to be in the league for a long time. And so it all goes back to, having that a dominating pitch and A plus plus stuff for that pitch. So his knuckleball was A plus plus. His fastball was like a D plus, but he got away with it because of the dominating knuckleball.
Yeah, no doubt. Very interesting. Interesting insight from the baseball expert Shane. Definitely love the analysis on all that. It's going to be interesting to see, when we get to October, who takes home the World Series. So, going off on that, I did kind of want to talk about the whole patch update. Came out with a pretty significant pass rush or patch update. Again, you can check out all these patch updates on Shanghai 11. He has you covered on that. And Shane, kind of what's your whole feeling about the patch, and also what's kind of the whole community's reaction to the patch? I've seen people kind of not liking the camera angles that are kind of weird. You know, I haven't really noticed a whole lot personally, gameplay wise. The only thing that I've really picked up on is like tweaks here and there with like weather and wind and stuff like that. But how is the community that you've seen so far taking to the patch, and also what's your personal opinion on the patch so far?
So, at least on Mutt, which is obviously my main gameplay, right? Defense is better, pass rush is better. They have still definitely screwed up against Dollar, A Gap, and Mug. At least with Dollar, if you hit the right protection, it won't come in as quick. And with double mug, it still is hit or miss. Like, even if I pick a play to block it where it should block it 10 out of 10 times, it'll still mess up 5 out of 10 times. It'll either dumb out the defensive end so he can come in, or they'll get the A gap up the gut. Like, really, they screwed up on that. Like, they might just have to remove double mug from the game, but we'll see if that happens. Zones are a little bit better for sure, Trey. There's a certain formation out there that literally stops bunch now for the most part, as long as you guard your area, which is really cool to see, because bunch definitely is overpowered usually. Now, you can still use certain bunch plays to attack this formation, but the whole like wide receiver out route, corner route, vertical route, and then like flat route has been basically taken away by this formation. So for me, like, I think man coverage is a little OP now. Like, I've even been screwing around with it and bringing 4 to 5. And for the most part, if I shade it the right way, they get sacked. Zone coverage is definitely a little bit better, um, which is needed because I mean, if anybody watched the MCS, it was like high school basketball scores 60 to 55, 50, 56 to 49, stuff like that. Like, that's too boring. Like, you need one stop. But so far, what I've seen is that defense has improved somewhat zone wise, and man coverage is definitely tougher. I I hate the mug because even if you block it right, it still will come in at times, and there's no chance to realize if it's going to come in or not come in. You definitely can do way more 4-man coverage or 4-man rushes, but the meta right now is starting to become dollar. Even getting past the mug, a lot of people are running dollar now, Trey. And let's see what else. The run game. I mean, if the run game's pretty slick, man, if you run it the right way and all of that. So I'm a little happy on the patch. Yes, I did hear from the community about the camera. I don't actually have a problem with the camera. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like crazy, or maybe I'm using last year's camera and I don't even notice. But I don't have a problem with the camera. One thing that was a major win that I want to point out, though, Trey, is I don't know if you knew this, but you can now put your audibles together and they save it from game to game. I think that's one of the biggest wins EA's ever had.
Okay, so I definitely and I appreciate you talking about that, Shane, because I kind of have a little bit of a rant on that one. So I did notice that I go to set up my audibles just like I do normally, and I'm like, well, this is weird. It just saved it. Now, how I'm gonna hold back from what I really want to say here. How are they going to have saved audibles when it comes to personnel packages? They don't have that saved. So they save that they say okay, we can save the audibles, but you still have to manually, if you want to sub in a safety at linebacker, you still have to do that manually. And it's like we have to wait another 5 years for them to get that in the game, and that's just, yeah. I'm just gonna let that one go. But so and this is gonna be another TikTok clip. This is gonna be another TikTok clip because I'm gonna ask the community another question, and all the listeners that are gonna watch this back later. Appreciate you guys, but we got October coming up. We got the most feared promo coming up, and also the most feared tournament, which is a tournament that Shane is a participant in. Hopefully, gonna make a run tomorrow that he's gonna be playing in. But you know, my question to you guys is like, because Shane hates fun. He's not a fan of 7 foot tall players and all that because he's just a miserable person and he doesn't like fun at all. So, but with that being said, who are some cards that you guys would like to see in the most feared promo coming up? I would personally like to see a Fridge William Perry in the game. I think that card would be pretty good. Tyreek Hill, scary fast. I was gonna make a joke. I was gonna make a joke on that one, but I'll save it for off air. So you got Tyreek Hill, scary strong Derrick Henry probably. Derrick Henry got that strength to him and all that. So yeah, most feared. So let me know who you guys are. You guys excited for the most feared promo, and who are some of the players you like to see featured in the upcoming most feared promo? Really, the first major promo of Ultimate Team's going to be coming up. So pretty excited to see that. And Shane, they brought back Draft Champions, which is a huge W, and that's something. I don't really have a huge problem with Draft Champions. Like it's good. I don't have any problems with it. Some people say, "Oh, you only get 8 rounds," but I really don't have any problems with it. I think that the rewards are pretty fair overall. So I'm gonna give EA credit on that one. I think Draft Champions is good. I don't really have any complaints on that one. So, kind of, what do you think about A, Draft Champions being back, and B, kind of how you feeling going into tomorrow about the tournament?
So I did win a championship in MUT draft, and then kind of just like gave up on it. Like I only did one MUT draft, so I won it all, and then I got an 85 overall, and I was like, damn. And then like a lot of people that I talked to, none of them, some won like 4 or 5 championships, and they said all they pulled were 85s, nothing higher. So I don't know if that's true for like other people, but I was like, yeah, I don't want to waste my time. I'd rather just do draft or MUT champions and like the gauntlet if I have time and whatnot. So, I mean, yeah, it is really cool. I do like they brought back draft champions. It was funny though because I had a bunch of 70s running around, bro. And then a couple 80s, but like, yeah, my team was slow as hell. It was definitely a different gameplay. And then this weekend, bro, I just got to handle business. Like, I'm glad that they fixed some of the defense up because it was getting to the point where, like, even me, like, I don't feel like, obviously, you can be like, no crap, Shane, but, like, I'm not like an A plus offensive player, right? I'm always defense and user. That's my game. Run the ball, make some passes, yada yada. When I tell you in every tournament prior, even last weekend, I would be like scoring 30 points a game and losing. Like, yes, there were some games I won 27-7 or I lost 21-7, but like for the majority, I was averaging 28 to 31 points a game, bro. Like that is legitly high for somebody like me, especially that relies on, you know what I mean? And I was passing all over, not even using RPOs, Trey, really at all. I was just passing, and that's against like other MCS comp people. So I am glad that they fixed up the defense a little bit. Like you and I talked a couple of days ago, and I was just getting like mollywopped, right? Because I couldn't play the very first patch day, and then the day that you and I talked, bro, I was like getting beat up. Like my offense was stuck. Uh, I was getting picked off or sacked, and I was just getting frustrated. But then I was like, "Yo, I figured it out some." Uh, and my defense is much better. I'm picking people off and, either pick six in them or picking them off and going to the 20-yard line, and then I have to go 20 yards. I found some good run plays against Mug. I'm still a little nervous tomorrow going against Mug because it is random, like who gets in and whatnot, and I don't have the greatest team. I have a good team, Trey, but not the greatest team. But it is what it is on that. I think I have a good enough team to make single eliminations if I'm good enough. So there's no excuse, right? None not to make single limbs about my players per se. But yeah, to sum it up, I do feel a little bit more confident now because like I'm winning enough and my defense is much better and my users flying around. Now, Trey, one thing I will say though is like I think I'm like 5-3 in the last 8 games, and you're like, damn, 5-3, that's it. Well, MUT champions and some head-to-head rank games have been hell, but I think in three of my maybe I'm 5-4. I don't remember. Three of my four losses, Trey, I literally fumbled twice each game and would have won, but I fumbled legitly, and I don't know why I was fumbling during those games. And then the games I have won, I magically don't fumble, right? So I have no idea why or what the reason is on that. But yeah, I was fumbling galore on my losses, but definitely have figured out some things though, Trey. So I'm excited for this weekend.
Yes, sir. I am excited for the weekend. I'm excited for Shane's going to get that big time W. And, hopefully his running back doesn't have popcorn before the game and he's not fumbling. And I will tell Shane to keep an eye on the fatigue of the running backs and make sure that you're not on aggressive ball carrying. And, hopefully, fumbles will go down on that one. But with all that being said, we appreciate you guys for supporting the podcast. Appreciate you for supporting Shane and I as we continue to grow this thing. I've noticed some increase on views, which is always good. And, we always appreciate the viewers. If you guys have any questions, topics, or, if you even want to join us as a guest, just let us know and we'll definitely work with you on that to try to get it on. If you have any ideas on stuff that might make our podcast better, let us know. And might as well, Shane, they say you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I'll go ahead and take a shot. If there's any sponsors out there that are listening to us that maybe they want to grow with us, just let us know. Not really pulling any viewers, but you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, so I'm just throwing that out there for the hell of it. So that is what it is, but we appreciate you guys for watching. I know Shane, I'll throw it over to Shane to let you know what he's got going on, if he's going to be doing any streaming over the weekend, or if he's just kind of going to play it by ear, but definitely be on the lookout for that. He's probably going to be streaming, if not this weekend, probably next Thursday and all that, so make sure to tune into that. And for me, I'm out. I'll throw it back over to Shane to close us out on this edition on the West Coast Podcast. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right, I appreciate you, Trey. Like always, like go check his channel out, you guys. Um, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do yet, Trey, about streaming. I know I don't know if I want to stream this weekend or not stream, or if I do stream, I put it on like private where I hand out the links individually, right? Um, so maybe I'll think about doing that, but I don't know if I'll talk much or just play. We'll see how it goes. But that's something to look at. I do have a funny story about some sponsors that like have been emailing me, Trey. I'll tell you off air. But yes, we will see you guys in 2 weeks. I appreciate everybody in there that came by. Rose, X Fan, the one or two other people who hung out, didn't talk, but we still appreciate you hanging out. But yeah, Trey will cook some clips up for me. I'll post it on TikTok and Shanghai 11 and have you guys interact with us on there and on YouTube and everything. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks.